It started with a sound. A small, sharp sound from under the hood of the family car. At first, Mark tried to ignore it. He turned down the radio, listened for a moment, and told himself it was probably nothing. Just another little noise from an old car that had carried his family to work. School, soccer practice, grocery stores, doctor visits, and Sunday dinners at Grandma's house. But by Friday morning, the sound was louder, and by Friday afternoon, the car would not start. Mark and his wife, Emily, stood in their driveway while their 7-year-old daughter, Lily, watched from the front porch with her backpack still on. "Is the car sick?" Lily asked. Mark forced a smile. "Something like that, sweetheart." The tow truck came before dinner. The mechanic called the next morning. The repair would cost $870. For a moment, Mark said nothing. He just looked at the kitchen wall, where Lily's crayon drawings were taped beside the family calendar. There were little hearts, a bright yellow sun, a house with a red roof, and 3 smiling people holding hands. Their life looked simple in those drawings, but at that moment, it did not feel simple. Mark and Emily were not careless people. They worked hard. Mark had a steady job at a warehouse. Emily worked part-time at a dental office while also taking care of most of the house and school routines. They paid rent on time. They bought groceries. They kept the lights on. They even took Lily out for pizza once in a while when the week had been long. From the outside, they looked fine. But every month, their money seemed to disappear before they could understand where it went. A little extra for gas. A birthday gift. A school fee. A prescription. A grocery bill that was higher than last time. A small online order that felt harmless. A dinner out because everyone was too tired to cook. None of it seemed big on its own, but together, it left almost nothing. So when the mechanic said $870, Emily opened their banking app and stared at the number. $114? That was all they had. Left until payday. Mark rubbed his forehead. "Will have to put it on the card," he said. Emily looked at him. "The card is all ready." "Hi, I know. We said we wouldn't use it again unless we had to." Mark looked out the window at the car that was not there. "We have to." That was how emergencies worked in their house. They did not arrive with warning. They did not wait for payday. They did not ask if the family was ready. They simply showed up, and when they did, Mark and Emily reached for the only thing they had, a credit card. For a few days, they tried to act normal. The car was fixed. Mark went back to work. Lily got to school on time. Emily picked up groceries and clipped digital coupons. Life moved forward, but the feeling in the house changed. At night, after Lily went to bed, Mark and Emily sat quietly at the kitchen table. The same table where Lily colored pictures of rainbows and houses. Now it was covered with bills, receipts, and a credit card statement. Emily pointed at the balance. "This is getting too high." Mark leaned back in his chair. "I know. We can't keep doing this every time something happens. I know." But knowing did not make it easier. Then 2 weeks later, another envelope came. It was a bill from an urgent care visit Lily had needed earlier that month after a bad ear infection. Insurance covered part of it, but not all. The remaining balance was $230. Emily held the bill in her hand and looked tired in a way Mark had not noticed before. "It's not even a huge bill," she said softly. "But it feels huge because we have nothing set aside." Mark did not answer, because she was right. That night, Lily came into the kitchen for water and saw her parents sitting in silence. "Are we in trouble?" she asked. Emily quickly folded the bill and smiled. "No, honey. We're okay." But after Lily went back to bed, Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I don't want her to feel scared." "Every time something happens," she whispered. Mark looked at the crayon drawing on the wall, the little house, the three smiling people, the bright sun, and for the first time, he understood something clearly. They did not need an emergency fund because they were bad with money. They needed one because life was unpredictable, and emergency fund was not a sign of wealth. It was a cushion, a pause button, a small wall between one bad day and a month of panic the next Saturday morning. Mark and Emily sat down with coffee, a notebook, and one simple question. What can we set aside, even if it feels small? At first, the answer felt embarrassing. $10 a week. That was all they could find without making the month impossible. Mark almost laughed. $10 won't fix a car. Emily nodded. Double quotes, no. But $0 definitely won't. So they started their $10 every Friday. They called it their breathing room fund. Not their wealth fund. Not their dream vacation fund. Not their perfect family fund. Just breathing room. They opened a separate savings account and moved the money before they could spend it. Some weeks, they added $10. Some weeks, when Emily picked up an extra shift or Mark skipped takeout, they added 15 or 20. They also made a small list on the fridge. Cook at home 3 nights this week. Check the pantry before grocery shopping. Wait 24 hours before small online purchases. Put extra change into the savings jar. Nothing dramatic. Nothing perfect. Just small choices at first. The fund grew slowly. $10 became 40. 40 became 90. 90 became 100 and 50. Lily noticed the jar on the counter and asked what it was. Emily smiled. It's for surprises. Lily looked confused. Good surprises? Mark laughed softly. Sometimes. But mostly the not-so-fun surprises. Lily thought about that. Then she ran to her room and came back with 3 quarters from her little purse. For the surprise jar, she said. Emily hugged her tightly. Months passed. The family still had bills. They still had stress. They still had weeks when groceries cost more than expected. They were not magically rich. They did not suddenly solve every money problem. But something changed. They started to feel a little less helpless. Then one cold morning, the water heater stopped working. Mark stood in the basement, staring at the small puddle on the floor, and felt the old fear rise in his chest. Here we go again, he thought. But this time, when he checked the emergency account, there was $480. Not enough to cover everything, but enough to soften the hit. Enough to avoid putting the whole problem on the credit card. Enough to breathe. That night, the kitchen table looked different. There were still papers on it. There was still a repair estimate. There was still concern, but there was no silence filled with panic. Emily looked at Mark and said, "I'm so glad we started." Mark nodded. "Me too." Lily sat beside them, coloring another picture. This time, she drew the same little house with the red roof, the same 3 people holding hands. But next to the house, she added a little jar full of coins. Above it, she wrote in uneven letters, "For surprises." Mark looked at the drawing and smiled. Because that was the lesson. An emergency fund does not stop life from happening. Cars still break. Bills still arrive. Kids still get sick. Jobs can change. Prices can rise. But even a small emergency fund can change how a family feels when those moments come. It can turn panic into a plan. It can turn fear into a pause. It can give a family enough room to breathe, think, and take the next step. Mark and Emily did not build their emergency fund overnight. They built it $10 at a time, and maybe that is how many families begin, not with a perfect budget, not with a huge Paycheck not with all the answers, but with one small decision to prepare for the next unexpected day, because sometimes the most powerful money choice is not the biggest one. Sometimes it is the small amount you set aside before life asks for it. If this story made you think, subscribe to Crayon Money Stories for more simple stories and big money lessons. This is not financial advice, just a story to help you think smarter about money.